In your light, I learned to love. In your beauty, how to write a poem. In your light, I learned to love. In your beauty, how to write a poem. You dance inside my heart. No one sees you, but sometimes I do. And that moment becomes art. A very beautiful poem by Rumi on the moment of seeing God, which is synonymous with the creation of art. Namaskar, friends. I'm Anita Kulkarni, delighted to welcome you to the platform Renu Foundation, where we worship and celebrate arts. First of all, a great and a happy new year to you. Today is the opening episode of our new web series called The Architecture of Arts. Today, we explore the exquisite Indian classical dance form called Odissi in the esteemed presence of Guru Daksha Mashruwala. Dance Odissi has seen a very interesting evolution in history. The dance that was born in the land of temples has attained a most endearing, sensuous, and graceful form today. Dakshaji will explain this dance form in its various aspects and facets as she shares her journey and work with us. Let us begin by watching two slideshows, one on Odissi and one on Dakshaji's introduction. We will also watch a 3-minute dance video by her called Surya Stuti, after which she will join us. Let's make a beginning.
Odissi, the graceful dance from Odisha, the eastern Indian state, depicted the religious stories in Vaishnavism. How did the dance travel from the ancient times to the beautiful sculpture-like classical Odissi that we see today? The dance drama mainly portrays the verses from Geet Govind, Jayadeva's Mahakavya, the epic poetry through beautiful dance motifs, footwork, and the head, eyes, torso movements in symmetric body bends, rhythmic resonance, and stances. The history and the genesis of an art form are always so fascinating. Born in the temple sculptures, the dance Odissi traces back to 2000 years. Its first mention is found in Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra, the original Sanskrit treatise on the performing arts. The dance was lost on the timeline many times before it saw its modern revival about 75 years ago. It is also extremely interesting how, in the historic scheme of things, different arts have coexisted beautifully. Odisha is an outstanding example where dance, drama, music, sculpture, and painting all merge and emerge together. 35 kilometers from the famous Jagannath Puri temple in Odisha exists the art and architecture marvel of the 13th century, the Konark Sun Temple. The 100-foot-high chariot with immense wheels and horses is standing there for centuries as a proud monument of history and heritage. It contains exquisite stone carvings, and like most other temples of Odisha, it has dance halls called the Natyashalas, each with an exuberance of dance sculptures still found in the Odissi dance. The Sun Temple of Konark was a center for art and culture. The tradition of young girls dancing in temples, dedicating their service to God, existed throughout India around the 12th century. In the Puri temple, these girls were called Devdasis or Maharis. The Maharis enjoyed a high regard in the society. The tradition of Maharis continued for a long time until it started seeing a downfall during the British rule. Losing the royal patronage and faced by life's challenges, the Maharis sadly were forced to adopt immoral values. After the Indian independence in 1947, a new law pushed the tradition behind the wheel of time forever. The Maharis performed for the god alone and never in public. What people saw was the dance performed by the Gotipuas, the young village boys dressed like girls. These boys dance in the temples only during the festivals like the Chandan Jatra, the longest 42-day festival in Jagannath Puri, where the deities are covered with sandal paste. Other times, they performed in the village, enacting the mythical stories of Lord Vishnu. It was more folk entertainment like songs and acrobatics. The boys were patronized by the rich landlords called the zamindars. Interestingly, some of these boys in their adulthood became the great Odissi gurus who reconstructed the Odissi dance for its highly evolved present-day form. In the 1950s, a society called Jayantika was formed, where gurus and scholars came together to reconstruct the dance for stage. Many stalwarts like Guru Pankaj Charan Das, Guru Kelucharan Mahapatra, Guru Debaprasad Das, Guru Mayadhar Raut, and Guru Raghunath Datta, and scholars like Dhirendra Patnaik and Mohan Khokar did an outstanding job of formalizing the Odissi dance. The sensuous, fine Odissi with beautifully defined curves that we see today is an outcome of this intellectual, cerebral, and creative revival. Today, the pursuit of the picturesque Odissi dance is found in many cities in India and in the world. Acclaimed gurus training young talents. There is Odissi Center at Oxford University in England. Odissi was officially included in the syllabus of a technological institute for the first time at the Indian Institute of Technology in Bhubaneswar in 2015, and Maharashtra is the first Indian state to offer a university degree in Odissi. In India, like Indrani Rahman and Priyamvada Mohanty, Guru Kelucharan Mahapatra produced many fine Odissi dancers like Sanjukta Panigrahi, Kumkum Mohanty, and so on in his senior-most batch of disciples. Daksha Mashruwala, the Odissi exponent and our guest artist of today, represents Kelu Babu's second esteemed batch of disciples. Daksha ji started her journey in classical dance in her early years with Bharatanatyam, with the acclaimed Mrunalini Sarabhai at the Darpan School of Dance in Ahmedabad, India. It is said that destiny has an unseen path laid out for all of us. Daksha ji's switch to Odissi, where she spent over 3 decades, has happened only by chance. Following the move to Mumbai after her marriage, she chanced upon a video of Odissi, quite unknown an art form then. Finding the sensuous, sculpture-like dance absolutely captivating, she started learning Odissi with the distinguished maestro, late Sri Padma Vibhushan Guru Kelucharan Mahapatra. The year was 1988. She has been a devoted Odissi dancer since, ever exploring the intricacies of the art form. She regards her years with both her gurus as immense in understanding the aesthetics of dance. Today, Guru Daksha Mashruwala is a top-grade artist of Doordarshan, the prime TV of Indian government, a recipient of the prestigious Uday Shankar Choreography Award. She is associated with the esteemed Sangeet Mahabharati to impart and spread the love for Indian classical art forms, where she regularly offers workshops, demonstrations, performances, and lessons in Odissi. Her institution, called Kaishiki in Mumbai, meaning graceful style, trains over 60 talented young dancers, some of whom are acclaimed solo artists now. Some of Kaishiki's noted productions include Namni, a tribute to Ravindranath Tagore; Gopi Geet, the dance of the gopis in the oneness of Lord Krishna and his soulful flute; Ladli, a production in gender sensitivity, speaking for the unspoken, unheard women who also want to rise with their counterparts; The Saggy Baggy Elephant, the story of a baby elephant on his little journey of self-discovery, a show designed for children of all ages, and a production based on a 1947 classic by Catherine and Brian Jackson. Ritu, an interpretation of Mahakavi Kalidasa's epic poem Ritu Samhar. Arksh, a show that explores the zodiac through the movement and music of Odissi. Crossing Oceans, on world mythology, portraying the Greek, Japanese, and Australian folklore explored through Odissi, Chhau, and contemporary dance. And The Dancing Lines, illustrating the beautiful connection of Odissi with the Pattachitra painting, both traditional arts from Odisha. With 40 years in dance, Dakshaji's repertoire is rich with exquisite classical pallavis, themes of eternal beauty, like a ballet on the seasons in nature, or a present day topic, like the voice of a woman, drawing upon the traditional Odissi grammar to tell an engaging story. Friends, it is time to meet Daksha Mashruwala.
Dakshaji, namaste.
Namaste.
It is so great to have you on the show. And there is so much that we want to know from you. Thank you for taking time to be with us. We will slowly get to your training in Bharatnatyam and Odissi and your long career, dance career in Odissi. But I want to start with a very curious question. When I was seeing some of your work, particular reference to your crossing oceans or Arksh, there is a very significant or distinctive global or contemporary character or flavor that comes across. You are a classical dancer. How did you make the switch? Did you transition to the contemporary or the global flavor at some point? What were your inspirations?
Thank you, Anita ji. Before I address your question, let me greet all the viewer participants on this beautiful opening session of the Renu Foundation called Architecture for Arts. I'm very delighted to be here, and I sincerely thank the Renu Foundation for having invited me to this beautiful session of my journey in dance. I do hope it's a meaningful conversation which is happening right at the beginning of this new year. And with so many hopes and aspirations, let's all hope that we move on. Let this be a turning point from the setback that we've had in 2020. Thank you all once again, and I will now make my answer to your question. Firstly, Anita, I'd like to tell you that I have not transitioned from Odissi to contemporary. The dichotomy of classical and contemporary has always confused many artists in their works, in their understanding, including myself, because we do not have those strict dividing lines of what we call modern dance and contemporary dance and fusion dance and so many other genres. But I would like to tell you how I deal with my concepts in choreographies. Basically, classical dance is very stylized. The grammar is given to us, but there is a lot of space for innovation. And this gives us ample scope to bring in new things, new ideas, in a way where we are not destroying any foundation or any grammar of the style. And as you know very well, all arts are always changing. They're not static. They're always evolving, whether it's architecture, whether it's cooking, whether it's music, it's dance, it's sculpture. Nothing is static. It's constantly changing. So with this changing times, it is important for every artist to make it palatable, to make it reach the audiences, to make it reach the social and the different structure of society. And hence, whatever I've worked with my concepts, my need to choreograph, when I see something, I want to react, I feel like expressing. I would like to present a little clip of my works, a short video on how I worked with my different choreographies, from the repertoire as well as out of the box choreographies.
Absolutely. Let's watch the video in support of what Daksha ji is explaining. This has, I think, excerpts from your Crossing Oceans and Urksh, and two more shows, I think. So maybe you can explain that a little bit later.
Yes.
भवानी देवी दुर्गा Why are you shaking the jungle to pieces? What kind of animal are you?
I don't know what kind of animal I am. I dance and I kick. I call myself Suki.
Fascinating, fascinating. I just love to feel how the music and the choreography and the lighting, the costumes and the expressions, how they just progress on the timeline hand in hand. And this is a subject, the music is a subject by itself, isn't it? Hopefully, we can dedicate a seminar in the coming weeks or months on it. But this is amazing. I would love to watch it live on stage sometime. Let's move on to the next topic. Thank you, Dakshaji.
Make one point before we move on, Anita, is that the way you introduced the session with your so much understanding of the art of dance, with all about Orissa and Odissi. I'd like to mention that I also try to relate my art form with architecture. And in this particular point, I would like to say that without breaking the foundation, the beams, the columns, and keeping the structure, the frame of the classical dance as it is, we are allowed to make these changes within, sometimes a little bit with the music, a little bit with the costumes, with the lights. And that is what I have done in my choreographies like Crossing Oceans and Arksha and a few others. So yeah,
I can clearly see that you have definitely explored the space with the grammar that you have. And that's such a pleasure to see. I want to come to the Guru Shishya Parampara, the Guru Shishya, the Guru disciple tradition, which makes such a prominent and significant part of the Indian art and culture. Like we saw in your introduction, you have spent quite a few years in your early life in Bharatnatyam before you made a switch to Odissi. Tell us about your two gurus, the two legendary figures, Guru Mrunalini Sarabhai and then Guru Kelucharanji Mahapatra. Tell us about your training.
Wonderful to talk about my gurus is like talking about my life. Both my gurus are pioneers in their art forms, and they've both gone really deep in the understanding and developing the art form of the classical Bharatanatyam as well as Odissi. And according to me, they were both absolute visionaries, very contemporary in their thoughts, And they were 100 years ahead of their times. Because I have spent significant number of years with both, about 15 years at Darpana, where I learned Bharatanatyam. I started as a young girl there in Ahmedabad, and I was exposed to so many things at the institution. Darpana, which is on the banks of River Sabarmati. As we entered, there were classes in Kathakali, in puppetry, in folk dance, in theatre, along with our training in Bharatanatyam. And Amma, as we called Mrinalini Sarabhai, a very strict disciplinarian, was looking at everything in her, very poised and aristocratic beauty, personality, beautiful personality. And like both my gurus are creative geniuses. Amma, in those years, in 50s and 60s, made productions that we have been started to think about now on feminism, on nuclear wars, her subject on the untouchability with Tagore's play on Chandalika, on Meera, which talked so much about feminism and about liberation. And her choreographies have stayed with me. The aesthetics and her treatment has been so much a part of me because it left very deep impression on me. But when I moved to Odissi after my marriage, I moved to Mumbai. And to cut the long story short, I was seeking for a guru. And that's where I fell in the lap of this beautiful maestro with Odissi workshop happening at NCPA and a visit to Bhubaneswar in those years. And I had got mesmerized. And Guruji, I just saw his dance and I had decided that I had to be under him. And Guruji's training was totally different from what I was exposed to in Ahmedabad. That was an institution that gave approach to everything. But Guruji was a one-man institution. And we have learned all his disciples, as long as he lived, in the Guru Shishya Parampara. We used to visit him, for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, stay with him and watch him very deeply, intensely, everything from whatever he was doing from morning till midnight. And what we imbibed was his thought process, his genius. He was a painter, a percussionist, a dancer, composer. And he was very interested in technology. He was trying out video cameras in those days. And he would sit on the computer and play computer games. It was fascinating to see this personality of Guruji. So this is what has given me the courage and the ability to stand on my feet when he's no more and able to do work and carry on with my dance and choreography.
That's just amazing. I remember you mentioning the long 36-hour train journey from Mumbai to Orissa and a very rustic kind of living, and the conditions were very different. Of course, we can talk about that in your actual transition, but you are free to explain now if you wish.
And yes, that was that was a very challenging part of my change to Odissi from Bharatanatyam. Because Odisha state in those days, people didn't even know on the map of India where it is. It was that primitive, that backward, not developed, very, very rustic, 36-hour train journey. I would normally go with one other disciple of his from Bombay, but the two of us, it was a different experience. And living in Guruji's house, in the warmth of Guruma, and it was like going going to parents' house. They looked after us completely. And there were a lot of hardships, like in the cold weather, we had to shower, even if it's 6 in the morning, with cold water. There were no geysers. The house was very primitive, very, very simple. It was, Guruji was a village person who grew up and became a genius artist. So his lifestyle remained like that. He did not change. And this is what we experienced. And to tell you the truth, everything became a very romantic experience for me. Living like that in those very primitive ways, in those restrictions, because otherwise we had a very different life. So it was really a big change, and I loved it.
Excellent. Some of your descriptions hold so much inspiration for the young aspirants of classical dance, right? The Guru Shishya tradition. Great. We have to switch on to the next topic in the structured nature of this seminar or a webinar. Friends, as you know, this series is called The Architecture of Arts. I want to ask Daksha like she has begun explaining the foundations and the pillars and the building blocks, the whole structure of Odissi. But now I want to invite her to show us through some live demonstrations. Please, Daksha ji, take over.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about the technique and the development of the technique because it got revived quite late in the 50s. And as you know, there are 8 classical dance styles in India, and each one is distinctly different from the other in its geometry, in the impact of the geography, of the social structure, of the language. So each has developed very differently, although they all hold the common Indian ethos in its dance. But each style develops differently, and there are a number of influences that have affected. So, should we go on to see a slide projection of the influences that have
Absolutely.
having the technique, the sculptures, the paintings, the folk forms, the Mahari dance, all the you've shown quite a bit. It's up to you, Anita, whether you'd like to go through it again. They've already seen it. And I just want to mention that these are the things, the weaves, how the weavers get inspired, and how these art forms interrelate and exchange each other and inspire each other.
I think we can skip the slideshow. Perhaps just mention the triangular and the geometric forms that you were mentioning the other day in the weaves of Odisha, and also the costumes of the Odissi folk dance, which has inspired some building blocks of Odissi. Just establish that connection before we move on.
Kinetics of each dance form, the body kinetics are different. And that depends on, like, if you know Mohiniyattam from Kerala, they have so many coconut palms, so many swaying movements. And so if you see Mohiniyattam, so many movements like the palms they go. Manipuri is so circular. Odissi is very triangle in its geometry. Bharatanatyam is squares and rectangles. Like if you see even the temple structures, they're very triangular, they're angular. If you see all the sculptures of Odisha temples, they all have the Tribhangi. The square position is also a very basic stance, but it's predominantly the Tribhangi that gives Odissi its identity. And there are many things that influence the art form. Like the weavers have got influenced by the beautiful sea, so they have a lot of shankha motifs. They have a lot of triangular designs on the fabric. I'm sure people have seen, they have, very typical Orissal culture and things depicted. And Patachitra and sculptures are like, they go hand in hand with the dance. So Odissi is also called like mobile sculpture.
Wow.
It is fluid, it is so transitory from one to the other. So I'd like to demonstrate with my student Namrata. So the viewers can also get an idea of the Odissi costume that we wear in the traditional costume. So can we have the,
yeah, I want to introduce Namrata formally, but maybe run through these slides ever so quickly just to give them that connection, the folk dance figure that we had. This was the Pattachitra, which of course we are coming to a little bit later. All the costumes in the folk dance. Sambalpuri. And these are the weaves of Odisha. Yeah.
Yes.
That's fine. I just wanted to run through it before. So yeah, let's formally welcome Namrata on the show. Namrata Mehta is Daksha ji's perhaps one of the most senior students. She joined Daksha ji in a very young age, and now she is a solo Odissi dancer of repute and acclaim. and also the assistant director of Kaishiki, which is Dakshaji's Dance Institute. Welcome, Namrata. And Dakshaji, please carry on with the demonstration.
As I have mentioned, how I'm going to relate in this segment our dance to architecture. Very often we are comparing it and seeing analogies and with paintings and sculpture, but I've got this opportunity to brainstorm on the beautiful art of architecture. So like the foundation stone in a building, we have four stances, body positions, extremely important. The straight standing position with stomach in, back straight, and absolutely straight. It's called the Samabhanga, where body is in continuous symmetry with the spine. There is no part of the body jutting in or out. The next body position is the Abhanga, where you rest on one leg. The body weight is on one side. To balance it, the torso moves to the other side. There is just one break in the body. This is a very sculpturous position. If you just add some hand gestures, you'll see a lot of these sculptures in the temples, women standing in the Abhanga. This is the Abhanga. The very significant stance of Odissi is the Tribhanga, the three bent position, the angular, the triangular, number of triangles you can see. And there are three typical bends on the neck, the waist, and the knee. And that is why it's called the Tribhanga, the three breaks, the three bends in the body. And how this, here the weight is also on one leg is free on whichever side. If you're doing a right Tribhangi, the right leg is free. If you're doing a left Tribhangi, the left leg is free. So this is how it'll give scope to developing a dance. But this is the basic foundation. And the fourth is the Chauka, the square position. If you see the deity of Jagannath in the temple of Puri, this is how he resides. This is his posture, his position. And this is also the very important position of Odissi dance. So this is the foundation. Let's go to the building blocks.
One second, Dakshaji, excuse me, sorry to interrupt, yes. But isn't there a masculine and feminine aspect to this, or is it not?
Yes, there is. This is more robust, of course. This is like when you're showing the power, and when you're doing Shiva and things like that. Then you have a stance which is suitable to show the masculinity, masculine energy. And the Tribhangi is more Alasya. But if you see all our gods and goddesses, you will see Rama standing in Abhanga. You will see Krishna he's called the Tribhanga also. You will always see him in Tribhanga. So, in these art forms, we transcend so much the male and the female as we only concentrate on the energies. It's the male energy and the female energy that we are generally exploring more than just the physical form. So I sometimes disagree that, oh, Chauka is masculine and Tribhangi is feminine. It gives that impression, it creates that energy in the body. So we can look at it like that. So does that answer
absolutely, it absolutely does, yes.
Okay. So then if we're going to the building blocks, we have a number of things. We have the hand gestures, the Padabhedas, foot positions. We have the torso movement. We have the neck movement, the eye movement, head movement, various things. So this is all the material that is assimilated, and these are our building blocks. I will just show you a few because you will see them in the dance always. Like the hand gestures, for example, we have the very simple Pataka Hasta, which denotes many things. It can denote just a woman standing with a mirror. This is only the Pataka, use of Pataka Hasta. The mirror can be here. The mirror can be here. The mirror can be here. So in different positions, Pataka is used for various things, for writing a letter, for showing the breaking of something, many, many things. It's a vocabulary. It's a dance vocabulary that we call the hastas. We have another hasta called Mayura. If you're showing the peacock, The Mayura, the name itself suggests this is the peacock walk, and we use the Hasta Mayura.
Wow.
If you're showing a bird, we use Kapitha. Yeah, and sometimes we have, we have a whole vocabulary of single hand and double hand, Sayukta, Sayukta Hastas. So if you're using Kapitha with another Hasta called Alapadma, and it shows a bird with feathers, open feathers, or the Garuda, which is a bird in flight. Then we have a Sayukta Hasta called Matsya. Now, if you want to show a fish posture, then we use the Pada Bheda called Meena Pucha, Hasta called Matsya, the body is in Tribhangi, the look, the eyes are also in a particular direction to give an exact image of what we are depicting. So this is how our vocabulary, these are our building blocks. Then we have walks, we have beautiful walks, a few Charlies. Din, dhinakka, dhini ta, kat dhinata, dhinakka, dhini ta. Next, dhin, dhinakka, dhini ta, kat dhinata, dhinakka, dhini ta. Going back, dhin, dhinakka, dhini ta, kat dhinata, dhinakka, dhini ta. Chapka, dhin, dhinakka, dhini ta, kat dhinata front, dhinakka, dhini ta. So these are the walks which are in, so these are all the basics. This is the technique that we train our students for the initial 3 years, definitely, with a lot of things. So these I call them the building blocks. Then you can come to the next is what comes? Walls. Okay, you have the walls. So we have Nritta, which is the pure dance structure that is made out of all the grammar that we've learned. We put it together and we have steppings, and then they get complicated and many variety of steppings. I will show just one in Chauka, one in Tribhanga. The Chauka step, this is a difficult step, and that's why I like to demonstrate, where the coordination of the hands, legs, torso, neck, eyes is extremely a tricky phenomenon. Okay, try and see it closely. 1, 2, 3, start. De, I, thi, na, ka, dhi, ni, ta. I, thi, na, ka. Second speed. Ta, I, thi, na, ka, dhi, ni, ta. I, thi, na, ka. Chaugun. Ta, I, thi, na, ka, dhi, ni, ta. I, thi, na, ka, dhi, na, ti, ta, ta. So we have 3 speeds. We have the training in the tala. We have the torso movement, the neck movement, the eye movements, everything together, which makes it like a structure, like a wall, where you learn the technique. I'll move on. I'll not go to the Tribhangi because you'll be showing that in the dance. And then what we have is the flooring. So all the Nritta patterns, that are beautiful patterns, which is our floor, which we use. We use the space. And the roof, according to me, is our tradition, our parampara, what it has given us. So we stick to that. When we are learning, we are not going here and there. We stick to the tradition that gives us the best of aesthetics. So that is the roof, according to me. And what lives inside the structure, inside the house, the soul, is our abhinay, which is the emotive or the expressive dance. So this is my lay understanding of architecture in terms of dance, how I would like to look at it. And this is how we build our dance, just the way you do your buildings.
Amazing. I think you have gone way ahead of being just lay. In fact, I just love the analogy with like architectural terminology and terms and how you translated that in dance, like in demonstrating so many things. And when you were also demonstrating the animals, the Mayura, the Garuda, the Meena fish, I was just also noticing how all these classical dances, they pick up inspiration from everything in nature. Like
Absolutely.
in Kathak we have Parmelu, right?
Right.
When the sounds of birds, and so it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's very alive
Even the
with
bowl,
those.
the bani, it's all taken from nature.
Lovely. Do we
Yes.
have anything more in the demonstrations, or should
I mean,
we
there is
move
plenty.
on?
There is very important the bhangis which we have,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
different ways of holding the mirror, different ways of showing the hair, the juda, woman putting something in the hair, then showing your file.
yeah,
So a mirror can be shown sitting, and
yeah.
she's dressing up, and she's putting her bindi.
Right.
So these are all bhangis. These are also very well defined, and they are all put in a systematic way, and students have to learn this. So
Yeah,
it is a step-by-step process which leads the dance to a first, the training is in the pure dance, so the nritta, which is not interpreting song, poem, emotions. There is emotion always, of course, because otherwise we are, we are
yeah,
human
yeah.
beings. So
Nothing is
everything we
without
do,
the
everything,
bhav. Yeah,
yes, there is
yeah.
expression even in the pure dance.
Mhm.
So I'll show a small piece of one dance, which is called Batu Nritya, which is again we say that item is like very strong, which Guruji has choreographed, and students have to learn it before they move on to the complex rhythms, complex musical patterns, which then go into the repertoire, the pallavi, and many other items. So I'd like Namrata to show a piece of Batu, uh, a very small piece, just to get an idea how how this technique becomes fluid, how it comes in motion.
Sure.
So all these basic postures and things you'll see in the Batu item.
Wow, most beautiful. Thank you, Namrata. Thank you, Dakshaji. This was an amazing segment, and I wish we could go on, but we have to move on because there's so much to cover. So I come to the Geet Govindam, Dakshaji, the soul and essence of Odissi. When I was doing the reading in preparation of this today's episode, it is just very apparent what Geet Govindam is all encompassing the entire Odissi, not just Odissi dance, but all the other fine arts of Odisha. Jaydeva, by the way, was a 12th century poet born in Odisha who created Geet Govindam, which is a Mahakavya, an epic collection of poems It has 12 chapters and 24 sub-chapters filled with Ashtapadis, which are Sanskrit couplets grouped in the number 8, and they describe Krishna's divine love for Radha. So tell us about the Geet Govinda influence, Dakshaji, and Odissi.
Thank you, Anita, again, for bringing in the most important aspect of Odissi dance. No Odissi repertoire is complete without the performance of an Ashtapadi. And the saint poet Jayadev plays a very, very significant role in our style, our repertoire, our understanding of the Madhura Bhakti Bhava, which is raising the consciousness of all devotees. And dance, as Indian classical dances were designed, they were meant to be devotional in nature. As you know, dance in India shouldn't say has been, was a temple ritual. It was an offering to the god. And there were designated dancing girls called Devadasis, and they were called Maharis in Orissa. In the 12th, after Jayadeva's Gita Govindam, the kings in Orissa were so enamored, they were so affected by the sentiment of these beautiful, enrapturing love songs, these lyrical songs of the Gita Govindam, that the kings made it compulsory that in all the temples, only Ashtapadis would be sung and danced for different stages of worship to the gods. And the effect of Jayadeva was really strong. It spread not just in Orissa, but all over India. Like people in Kerala, in Andhra Pradesh, in Gujarat, you could see painters painting beautiful images. These are love songs of Radha and Krishna. And where Jayadeva had a very beautiful way of capturing the physical into making it the concrete as a way, as a path into the spiritual. So the Ashtapadis that we know are looked at and are treated at both levels, the human and the divine, the profane and the sacred, the sensuous and the spiritual. So it is reaching everybody, even without knowing Sanskrit. The alliterations, the chandas are so beautiful that it created magic, to tell you the truth. So Ashtapadis became part of Odissi dance. The Maharis danced and sang to these Ashtapadis. And all the musicians were influenced and a lot of songs were choreographed. So even after the temple ritual was abolished in India, the sentiment of Odissi has remained. And Guruji's choreographies and the Ashtapadis, he's choreographed several, almost each and every Ashtapadi, have created such deep meaning. I'll talk about myself, especially to me. I'm not so deep into understanding of the religion and not a religious practitioner that way. But the entire spirituality came to me when I learned through the dance, through dancing these Ashtapadis, the way Guruji has treated them. So it's extremely important for me to present one excerpt of his choreographies. And I'd like to mention that it's a very small piece from a long choreography of his. There are three characters in the Gita Govindam, Radha, Krishna and Sakhi. Sakhi is the friend, a very important character, who is always bringing Radha and Krishna together. They meet and they separate, they meet and they separate. Uniting and separation is the cycle, cosmic cycle that we all go through. And Sakhi is the important role that she plays. So in this Ashtapadi, Dhira Samire, Yamuna Tire, Vasati Vane Vanamali, Rati Sukha Sare, Gatama Abhisare, Madana Manohara Vesham. The Sakhi has come in the open, hearing the sound of the flute, and she sees Krishna far away on the banks of the river Yamuna, playing his flute, calling out the name of Radha. And she goes looking for her friend. Where is Radha? Oh, there. She's sitting like this, sulkily, in a sulk, with idle, with hips just being there. And she tells her friend, go, make haste. Krishna, in the form of Cupid, is waiting for you. Oh, my dear friend, please go.
Wow.
So this is the Ashtapadi that I will just show a little bit of it.
It's already enchanting watching you. So dance will be even more beautiful. Wow. Wow, beautiful. Dakshaji, if we could just request you to just stay on the platform, because I am, friends, I'm coming to that subject of Dakshaji switching from Bharatnatyam to Odissi. I mean, imagine a completely different dance discipline, Bharatnatyam, Odissi, different geography, different culture, and she took on a new guru. What this transition must have been like? Let me ask her what it was, what came sort of easy, and what felt easy to adopt and adapt to, and what felt like a more challenging something. So, Dakshaji, if you could please talk and demonstrate just a few gestures, because then we'll move on to music.
Yeah, now I think you're absolutely justified in asking me about the transition, because after this strict training in Bharatanatyam, which is very majestic, very powerful, very angular, very direct, I had to move into the soft subtleties with the same amount of energy. I sometimes feel that I sweat more and I get tired in Odissi, even more than Bharatanatyam. And I think to myself and wonder why. I mean, vaguely, I can just say that in Bharatanatyam, what we do is like tam, de tam, kititakatai, tattai. Please, Bharatanatyam dancers, excuse me. Bharatanatyam, I have not been practicing. What I'm trying to say is that there is throw of energy. Energy is thrown in a straight line, thrown here, thrown there. While in Odissi, if we have to do, din, dinaka, dinita, kat vinata, dinaka, dinita, kat vinatin, dinaka, dinita, kat vinata. So everything, it's not thrown. Energy goes out and comes back. Energy is just stopped, it's held there, and it's coming back within. And it's tremendous control. Again, the torso movement was a very big challenge for me. I used to, before going to bed, I had to sit on the bed and do it 1,000 times because the torso wouldn't move. In Bharatanatyam, we are holding it very straight. So that was a challenge. The Tribhangi, sitting for a whole item on one foot, this is, and doing the torso with it. These were all the challenges in shifting my technique from Bharatanatyam to Odissi. The benefit I had also, I must mention, was that of the chalk. Because in Bharatanatyam, we have the Aramandi position. We are used to sitting with the knees out. And I remember when I joined the first workshop of Odissi, all these senior dancers, I had not told them that I've done so many years of Bharatanatyam. And they were surprised. They said, "Iska chalk." In the first workshop, chalk acha hai. But it was because of my Bharatanatyam. And of course, the understanding of one dance helps you so much more in understanding the other.
Totally.
So all these things helped me in the transition. And the challenges were, of course, which I mentioned earlier, going and living in Orissa, leaving the house, the child, everything in those days. But it was all a part of the great process.
I think it is, I mean, as we all know, I mean, there is a very big common thread or a common premise for all Indian arts, including music, dance, that they are universally acclaimed for their spiritual essence and charm. So, and the connection with the divine. So I think that premise, of course, it didn't matter which dance form you were dancing. But this was a very beautiful explanation, and it was nice to see you demonstrate it to us. Dakshaji, if it's okay with you, I want to discuss some musical aspects of your productions and work.
Yes.
Music, music happens to be a very close to heart subject, being a student of music myself. And when I was listening to some Odissi music, again, in preparation of this episode, I could almost feel that there is this the third genre? I mean, as you all know, there are two primary genres of Indian music, the Hindustani music and the Kannada music that comes from the south. So is Odissi music the third genre? I mean, I'm trying to decipher the rags, the tals, the rendition styles, and there was some sense of familiarity, but there was also a lot of it which was completely different. So if you could please explain, and perhaps we could watch Guruji's just 1 minute clip of the Mardala
Yes.
from which you can take on. Wow.
So, Anita, I'll take on from there. Uh, uh, this Mardala, the effect it has uh, to everyone. It's not just Odissi dancers, but when you are involved in the dance, the music is absolutely the most integral part of your dance. So it has to go with the sentiment, with the kinetics, with the flavor of that particular region that we represent. We cannot just borrow and set our dance to it. So as I mentioned that dance underwent a revival, although we know that sculptures show that even the second century BC, there are caves which shows dance existed. It was all lost after the temple rituals got abolished. And hence to bring the dance back, it took a lot of time. As you mentioned in your slides, there was the Jayantika and the gurus get together. But the musicians also were working simultaneously on that. Dance was just going at a very fast speed, just wanting to establish its identity. And music was also going along. So all these great musicians like Raghunath Panigri and Balkrishna Das and Damodar Hotaji and Gopal Chandra Panda, all these musicians were there continuously working. And the identity existed in all the folk forms, in the gotipuas. They have all these other instruments that are playing the typical temple में जैसे घंटा बजता है, जैसे मर्दल बजता है, they call it घंटा मर्दला, the khol and the mardal and so many other instruments. So the work kept happening, and people that time depended a lot on the Hindustani and the Carnatic, which were like the strong, they were the strong friends of Odissi dancers, also strong enemies because they refused to consider Odissi music as something classical. So it took a long time. It's got its place now. And Odissi music is also a classical music, separate ragas, separate talas, although a lot of influences from the north and the south happened because of the situation of Orissa. So the ragas are similar to the Hindustani as well as Carnatic. Tala patterns are different. Rendering of those same ragas is again different. So once you understand and once you get yourself to listening the music more, you will see the differences to be able to put it in the right context, in the right books. Now everything is coming out, and it's
But
one
just
of
to
the
just to
genres.
before we move on, so is there Tintal in Odissi music with the same 16 beats? Is there Rupak with 7 beats, Japtal with 10,
No,
or is it different, completely
very
different?
interesting. Our Rupak Tal is 6 beats.
Oh,
Yeah, and we do have a cycle of 16 beats, which is not like Teen Tal. Actually, we also have a cycle of 4 beats. We call it Chatusra Ekatali. We have a Jhampa Tal. Our Rupak Tal is 6 beats. Our 7 beats Tal is called Tripata. Then we have Ashtatal, we have Adatal, we have different talas. They're again different. We don't have the Karnataka system of the jatis, like, Dhruva Matha system. So that way it is little similar to the Hindustani. But
but not
it
quite.
has
But not
not
quite.
quite,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
quite.
Extremely interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the classical part. So what I get is it's very similar. I mean, it draws the influences from the north and south because of the geographical situation of Odisha. But it is not perhaps as structured or all as well defined in the books so far, maybe. But it sounds very sweet. That is for sure.
Honestly, a lot of books are now written in Odissi, in Oriya language. Even the music is being coded now. The real work is of getting it coded and then translated,
I see.
which is happening. And until then, people are wanting to not, call it Shastriya. But
Shastriya.
there was a very big scholar called Dr. Jeevan Pani, who said it is from the Shastras, and he gave the 4 rules that make any music or dance Shastriya. And Odissi has all those 4 conditions applied. I'll not get into the detail. We must have a
Yeah.
seminar,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
discuss this.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
he passed away. He's no more. But he fought a lot for Odissi music, and he said the ragas are mentioned in the Gita Govind. Jayadeva has mentioned the ragas. We have lost the identity of those ragas, but it is all there. It's matter of revival and
Well, yeah.
structuring it back.
So your crossing oceans or the modern your contemporary productions, you have worked with accomplished musicians like Pandit Nayan Ghosh, Hindol Deb, and your team seem to have used instruments from the Western influence, like very non-traditional for Indian music or Odissi music, like the sets of violins or cello, obviously to arrive at certain effects that in support of the geography or the mythology that you were portraying. How did you choose the laya, the tal, and can you just quickly again describe the process, the creative process?
Yeah, I
I
knew
know
this would come.
it's a long subject, but just to
It's a
touch
long
upon it.
process, but I'll try to make it as simple as I can. I'll tell you, like, if I'm cooking Chinese or Italian pizza, I have to work, and I want to make it with my Indian ingredients, but I want to give it the Italian flavor. I have to add those herbs. I have to add a few sauces. In the Chinese, the authentic, flavor of Italy or China or whatever I'm doing. The recipe, like I can make the dough and the tomato ketchup, whatever. Or as in architecture, you said, if you're building a church or a temple or a mosque, you will want to keep that structure the same. So similarly in dance, when I want to choreograph, see, we are all becoming very global. We
Yeah.
travel, we are influenced by everything. World mythology influenced me, reading Greek stories, so many similarities you see, and you want to choreograph something on it. You want to bring it out, express it in your media. So how do you do it? I'm traditionally only an Odissi dancer now. I do only Odissi, but I'm familiar. So I had to choose, get the musicians who are accomplished, very strong classical musicians, but also exposed to the world music. So both Nayanji and Hindoldeep, for the 2 productions, they're extremely versatile. Although Nayanji first was very reluctant to give music to a piece like Arch, but then he got very excited. And the way he said that, just a dancer has so many stages, how she visualizes what she wants to choreograph. He said he studied the icon. He studied the characteristics of the icon in the 12 zodiac signs. That's the production which we will go in. And he decided on the raga which will suit the character and the mood of that icon. If
Wow.
it is Leo, lion, the Kedar Rag liya and Pakhavaj liya and Dhamar liya, so the majesty of the lion comes out. Similarly, he took different instruments, different talas, different ragas for each icon. While in the world mythology, Hindal Dev, again a sitar player, very exposed to world music, I wanted it in Odissi music. My mardal was there throughout, but there were other instruments. For example, the Greek story. Where will I bring the identity? So, an instrument, a cello, which is played. You know, when Orion is an intimate this thing with Merope and trying to rape her. That's when the cello played a beautiful effect, and it gives the Greek flavor. So, as I said, in the architecture or in cooking, both art forms, also you borrow some ingredients to do justice to that flavor.
Totally.
And in the Australian Aboriginal, I insisted that Australia doesn't have any music except the didgeridoo. It goes. And to find a didge player in Mumbai, we found one, and the didgeridoo was used for the movement of the snake along with a Hindustani violinist. And in the Japanese story, they have this beautiful shakuhachi flute. We did not get the authentic flute, but my flute player played it exactly in that style of the Japanese flute. So if you see
let's
the video,
watch. Let's watch the video. So
yes,
yeah.
yes. That was Cancer, the crab.
Mm-hmm. Outstanding, beautiful. I really wait for the opportunity to watch this live.
Yes.
Dakshaji, there is an outstanding production by you and Kaishiki called Samagam, where you blended the energies of folk dance and classical Odissi on stage. How did that come about?
It's a very good question because Keshiki promotes and encourages its students to think independently, work independently. And Namrata is part of Keshiki admin and everything that she wishes to do and express Keshiki supports. So I'll invite Namrata and let her talk on this particular production where she's worked.
So before you start, Namrata, with the permission of our attendants, we are going to overshoot. We need at least 15 more minutes and we are already out of time. But I'm going to continue, hoping that we will finish the session in 15 minutes comfortably. So sorry about the interruption. Namrata, please.
Thank you so much. This particular production, which is Samagam, and this was absolutely possible because of Dakshaji and Keshiki. I will just put a little, tell you about what this production, how this came into being with a fellow artist who's a folk dancer, Vaishali Sagar. The whole idea was to merge two art forms, classical and folk, to merge them into, I mean, taking the precision of Odissi and the free spirit of folk dance, merging them together to emerge into a spectacular visual treat of
Wow.
dance, music, and poetry.
Wow.
So I think I would like to show you a small clipping of this production,
Sure.
which will do justice more.
Merge to emerge. The canvas is painted with the precision of Odissi as well as the free spirit of folk dance that brings out the true essence of Samagam. Vasant or spring is personified as Kamadev, the god of love, evoking the feeling of love.
Prafulla Chutankur Tikshna Sayako Dvirefamala Vilasadhanurguna
Tari chena ta kita ta chena ta kiti tak 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 ta tari chena ta kita ta chena ta kiti tak ta kiti tak ta kiti tak tho thalang thing gat the ta kena ta chena ithe ithe tho ta kena ta chena ithe ithe tho ta dha dha dhadigan tha
Varsakh, the king of seasons, also known as Rituraj, is celebrated by Dangrita, a folk dance from the border of Maharashtra and Gujarat. Rain. Why does it inspire such poetry, such romance in our heart? The dark clouds loom heavily on the land. Accompanied by lambent flashes of lightning and thunder, the season of rain now comes like the king's procession.
beautiful women perform the very soft and graceful folk dance Varanasi Ghantu in Sikkim. It is done throughout the year on any joyous occasion.
I wish I were there in that audience. Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Namrata. This was a treat to watch. Thank you so much. Daksha ji, we land on the last segment of the session where I just want to chat with you because we always see you on stage in spectacular costumes, makeup, you know, under beautiful bright lighting. You are like up there somewhere. Uh, what's your normal day like? How do you distribute energies in your professional time and personal time? Maybe as a mother, as a wife, as a householder, and as a guru. How do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, there were ups and downs when my daughter was small and living with in-laws, and it's all a process, it's a journey. But a time comes when all that matters is your dedication and your commitment. And then nothing phases you, nothing stops you. When dance becomes a way of life, everybody around accepts, everybody around is happy, and they're all taken in along with my journey, and it's a beautiful journey. So my day is it's not compartmentalized. Like, yes, it is organized that okay, this is my time for cooking, this is my time for cleaning, this is my time for reading, this is my time for yoga. I do yoga, I do meditation, I do dance, I love to travel, I love to read books. So one finds time with everything if you organize yourself, if you structure your day. uh, I'm happy.
That's just the key answer to everything. Dance, like I said earlier, all our Indian classical dance and music, they are spiritual in essence, and they are really a connection to the divine, the therapy. But beyond the spirituality, in your day-to-day life, the dance is a lot of therapy, right? Like it gives you a fitness regime, it gives you a profound body language expressions. How do you see the therapy in dance?
Completely, it's my aid now. I cannot, I think, even physically function. Like so many times, there are aches, pains. There's backache. There was a spur in the heel. The legs are hurting, and with age, with the challenge that we are facing now, is of course our age also. We are not jumping and dancing and doing so much of pure dance, but there is so much to do. It's an ocean, and I
Wow.
spend time teaching, I spend time choreographing. So there is hardly any time for boredom. And there is a very good opportunity to get over your anxiety, to get over, not that we don't have all of that. We have the pain and anxiety, but it's easier, it's much better. And that's the therapy. It's
Wow.
something which, frankly, Anita, I cannot talk about. One has
Yeah.
to experience it.
Yeah, it's to be experienced. So physical dance is so physical, and it's such a huge outlay of energy every day. So I'm sure your diet includes, the regime includes a lot of protein and stuff. But do you ever eat cakes and ice creams like all of us?
Oh, lovely. Most dancers are foodies. They all love food, even my Guruji. We all have indulged in food, and we justify that, oh, but we are, spending our energy. We'll burn it out. We'll burn it out. We love food, but a time comes when you do follow a regime, you do follow your exercise, you do follow a pattern. Very late, but I've turned vegan, and I'm trying oil free, because when it becomes harder and harder to lose weight, to get your energy back. So as it comes, we do, but we don't deny food. It's like a very important rasa. What we create in arts, the rasa, the essence is also there in food, and we don't want to miss out.
Very nice, very nice. From the lighter vein, which was not all that lighter a subject really, to something serious. So what do you think challenges you or limits you? And in such situations, what is and who is your support system?
How can I tell you about what limits us? Right now, maybe I'm a little bit, thinking that, yeah, at this age, how much can I do? What can I do? But even that is taken care of. If we have overcome this challenge of the epidemic, if we've come, in this kind of time, if I'm able to communicate with the world audience, I mean, we are facing challenges like anything. So this has been a great challenge to be continuing with dance, with lectures, with practice, with online classes, learning all the technology for online. Right now, that is my challenge. So at every stage, maybe there are different challenges, but yeah, they keep coming and we keep, overcoming.
Would love to know about your current projects. I do know one of the titles, but I'd let you announce it. And perhaps you can just integrate the working of Kaishiki, the explanation on that, just a brief one, like how do you teach, perform, choreograph, and when is your like structured time for your personal riyas?
Okay, that is too many questions. Let me go one by one. Keshiki, I have a group of senior students, which is the repertory, where the senior students are giving a lot of time as and when I want for my choreography, for the practice, for rehearsals. And we've been doing performances in group quite a lot. And these students are also teaching the younger ones. So the teaching, which according to me is part of learning, they have to teach because you are exercising the same things within when you're telling your students. So my students, senior students, I encourage them to teach. So this is the kind of life we have at Keshiki. And my projects are, I'm just dying and waiting to just explore and just get done with it. One is I want to record. In fact, my cameraman who's sitting right here, he's responsible for it also, Girish. All the Ashtapadis that I've learned from Guruji, they are masterpieces. So when we perform, we do tamper, we edit, we do a little bit of our own, but I want to record them, video record them as they are choreographed by Guruji. All the ones that I've learned for the next generation, for my students, surely they must know what masterpieces these are. It's like, you have to keep some things in the museum for the generations ahead. So I look at the Ashtapadis like that. Then there's another interesting project, which is on petal stories, where I've collaborated with a Bharatanatyam dancer. And we've taken 5 flowers and different stories, and we are choreographing. The music is already done. And there is one more on Panchakanya. Yeah, so these are all in the pipeline. Thinking
we
that
look
we'll
forward.
do it live. We'll do it live. We don't want to do it online.
Yeah, we look forward to them. They're beautiful titles that are kind of self-explanatory. So this actually had the answer for my next question. I wanted to ask you, what message do you want to give to the world through your work? But you have actually spoken about it already, but still, just as a concluding note.
No, one thing I definitely want to do is that get one more generation ready for all that we have got from my guru. The immense wealth which makes us capable, I'd like to pass on to the next generation and tell them that it's the best thing, the best possession, which is your own. It belongs to you.
Wow. I love that idea of video recording the Ashtapadis. It will be such a valuable, precious contribution. Wonderful idea, and all the best for that. I do want to pick up that thread that Daksha ji has just introduced, that this is her first appearance on the Renu platform, but by no means I want it to be the last one. Daksha ji, we want you to keep coming here, and let's see. This was more like an overview, really, but I would love to develop some theme-based lecture demonstrations or maybe workshops, seminars, Odissi appreciation courses with you, and perhaps, God willing, we could collaborate on recreating some of your work, the productions which are not actually live right now, and perhaps even create something new together. Renu and Kaishiki, or Anita Kulkarni and Daksha ji, and I'd just wait for that day. What do you think of that idea?
It's too good. It's going to keep my mind and my body in shape.
Great,
And
that's
it's
wonderful.
very important for me to do that. So I
Nice.
really look forward to that, Anita. We've thankfully and very joyfully clicked in so many ideas and ways to even do this presentation.
Right.
So I'm very happy when we can work, if we can work together.
That will be just fascinating. So I really want to leave the audience with this note that there is a lot to look forward to with Daksha ji. And I take this opportunity to also remind you of our other sessions, which are coming up every other Sunday. And there's just so much to look forward to in the field of arts and artists. So my sincere thanks. Thanks to you, Daksha ji, for taking time, coming here. Thanks to Namrata. And big thank you to our audience for making it here today. And let's keep it alive. Let's keep going.
Thank you for this pioneering work, Anita. This series is so very interesting. My best wishes to you and to all the participants.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Great. I just have credits coming up, but that's about it. Thank you. And take care.